Welcome back. And we're going to carry on looking at how the very early church chose a new apostle to replace Judas Iscariot. And I want us to look at the criteria they used. Because Peter said to them, we need someone who has been with Jesus right from the beginning, who has followed him all the time Jesus lived among us, right from the time when Jesus was baptized, right up until he was taken up from us. And it's notable there are such people to choose from. Sometimes we forget that quite a few people travelled around with Jesus. It wasn't just the 12. And some of them, like Matthias and Joseph Barsabbas, have been following Jesus a long time. Now, as this group of 120 believers meets to choose a new apostle, they're looking for someone who knows Jesus really well, someone who has followed Jesus a long time. They're looking for continuity, aren't they? Just now, when Jesus has just left them, they want another person who is able to keep that close connection with Jesus, from having known him for many years. It's one way to keep that close connection with him. Now they can't meet with Jesus like they used to. I wonder how you're keeping connected with people who you can't meet up with at the moment. I wonder what reminders you have of people you can't contact at all. You might see how important that might be for these early Christians now, when Jesus had just left them. And let's look too at the way they make their choice, because they chose between Matthias and the other guy by casting lots. Now, there are many ways God can help us make decisions, many ways of being guided by God. But I must say, I've never tried to seek God's will by casting lots. And what strikes me here is it's such an old-fashioned way of doing that. There are various places in the Old Testament where people consult God by casting lots. But this is the only time believers do that in the New Testament. And it strikes me this is probably the only time they would, in this brief gap between Ascension and Pentecost. Because if Jesus was still with them, then he would choose the new apostle. And after Pentecost, they would be guided by the Holy Spirit. But just for a moment, they have neither. And they're reduced to casting lots again. It's an old-fashioned method here. And really, this whole episode does have a feel of holding on to the old normal. They want to keep 12 apostles like there always used to be. They want to have as much continuity as they can. In this in-between time, when everything's up in the air, they want to keep things as much the same as possible. Are they ready to adapt to the new normal? They might not be yet, but they will be soon. Because soon they will receive the Holy Spirit. And then things are about to get a lot more vibrant and dynamic and exciting. Then they will leave this isolation behind and the church will develop in ways they won't even imagine yet. Maybe that's why Matthias always will seem a little bit obscure, because appointing him was the last gasp of a structure that's about to become a little bit less important than it used to be. They never will appoint another member of the 12. Church structures do change, especially when the Spirit takes hold of them. So might there be changes for us now? If the new normal after lockdown will look very different in many other areas of our lives, will it look quite different for our church too? Will some of the things we're doing now change the way we do church in future? It's worth looking up the work of people like Professor Pete Ward. For years, he's been looking at what he calls liquid church. That is, ways of being church through networks, not just by meeting up together as a group. That's one way in which our society has been changing for years, a change that has suddenly been accelerated under lockdown. So what are we learning from having to be more liquid at the moment? What new ways of being church should we carry forward into the new normal? Think about that while you look at how different everything is just at the moment. And know that we have a great help in adapting to new situations, because the Holy Spirit has always helped Christians adapt to a changing world. And that's who we will be welcoming next week, when we celebrate Pentecost, with all the hope and inspiration that brings. So, this week, it's a slightly hesitant church meeting trying to patch up business as usual. Next week, the Holy Spirit will come, and things will never be the same again.